There is a kind of beauty that time cannot steal. It does not depend on perfect features, expensive clothing, or the approval of strangers. It is the kind of beauty that grows quietly through daily choices, disciplined habits, and a peaceful mind. While the world often teaches women to chase external perfection, lasting beauty is created from within. A calm heart, a clear mind, and honorable character become visible in every smile, every word, and every action. Many people spend years trying to improve what others can see, while neglecting what truly shapes their presence. Yet the strongest influence a woman can have is not through appearance alone, but through the energy she brings into every room. People may notice beauty with their eyes, but they remember character with their hearts. Real beauty is not loud. It does not demand attention or compete for validation. It is reflected in patience during difficult moments, confidence without arrogance, kindness without expectation, and strength without aggression. It is built day after day through habits that shape the mind and spirit. Today, we will explore 7 habits that make a woman truly beautiful, not according to changing trends, but according to timeless principles that strengthen the soul, inspire others, and create a life filled with peace, dignity, and purpose. True beauty begins long before anyone notices your appearance. It begins in the private moments when no one is watching, in the decisions you make about how you will treat yourself, what you will tolerate, and what standards you will live by. This is where self-respect is born. It is not a feeling that arrives overnight, nor is it something another person can give to you. It is a habit that is built through consistent actions. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, every time you choose honesty over convenience, every time you protect your peace instead of seeking approval, you strengthen the foundation of your own character. Many people confuse self-respect with confidence, but they are not the same. Confidence can rise and fall, depending on success or failure. Self-respect remains steady because it is rooted in values rather than achievements. A woman who respects herself does not need to announce her worth. She does not spend her energy convincing others that she deserves kindness. Instead, she quietly lives in a way that reflects the standards she has chosen. She understands that her value is not determined by compliments, social media attention, or comparison with others. The modern world encourages constant comparison. Every day, there are images that suggest beauty has a specific shape, a certain style, or a perfect appearance. When a person measures herself against these changing standards, peace becomes impossible. There will always be someone who seems more attractive, more successful, or more admired. Chasing comparison is like running toward the horizon. No matter how far you go, it remains out of reach. Self-respect changes this perspective completely. Instead of asking, "Am I better than someone else?" it asks, "Am I becoming a better version of myself?" This single question transforms the direction of your life. Growth replaces jealousy. Discipline replaces insecurity. Gratitude replaces dissatisfaction. Notice how people with genuine self-respect carry themselves. Their posture is calm. Their words are thoughtful. They do not interrupt others to prove intelligence, nor do they seek attention by creating unnecessary drama. Their presence feels stable because it is not dependent on external validation. They have learned that silence often speaks louder than constant explanation. This does not mean they never experience doubt. Every human being has moments of uncertainty. The difference is that self-respecting people do not allow temporary emotions to control permanent decisions. They recognize fear without surrendering to it. They acknowledge criticism without allowing it to define their identity. They understand that mistakes are opportunities for learning, not reasons for self-hatred. Respecting yourself also means protecting your physical and mental well-being. It means getting enough rest because your body deserves care. It means feeding your mind with knowledge instead of endless negativity. It means choosing relationships that encourage growth instead of accepting treatment that slowly destroys your confidence. Every healthy decision becomes a declaration that your life has value. One of the greatest misunderstandings is believing that saying no is selfish. In reality, saying no is often an act of wisdom. A woman who cannot refuse unhealthy demands eventually sacrifices her peace to satisfy everyone else. She becomes exhausted, resentful, and disconnected from herself. Self-respect teaches that kindness should never require abandoning your own dignity. You can be compassionate without becoming a victim of other people's expectations. Another important lesson is that self-respect requires responsibility. It is easy to blame circumstances, other people, or bad luck for every disappointment. However, growth begins when you ask yourself what you can improve. Responsibility is empowering because it returns control to your own hands. Instead of waiting for life to become easier, you become stronger. People naturally trust those who respect themselves because their actions are consistent. Their words match their behavior. They keep commitments. They apologize when they are wrong. They do not pretend to be perfect because they understand that authenticity is more attractive than perfection. This honesty creates a quiet beauty that cannot be imitated. As years pass, physical appearance will inevitably change. Youth fades, trends disappear, and fashion evolves. Yet self-respect becomes even more visible with time. It shapes your decisions, influences your relationships, strengthens your resilience, and gives your life direction. While external beauty depends on favorable conditions, inner beauty grows stronger through challenges because every obstacle becomes another opportunity to practice patience, courage, and integrity. When you truly respect yourself, you stop chasing acceptance from every passing opinion. You no longer need to compete for attention because your identity is anchored in principles rather than popularity. You become selective about where you invest your energy, careful with your words, and intentional with your actions. That quiet certainty creates a presence that others naturally admire. It is not because you are trying to impress them, but because genuine self-respect shines through every choice you make. That is the kind of beauty that remains untouched by time, circumstances, or the changing opinions of the world. Emotional discipline is one of the rarest forms of beauty because it cannot be purchased, imitated, or applied like makeup. It is developed through consistent self-awareness and the willingness to master your inner world instead of allowing your emotions to master you. Every human being experiences anger, disappointment, fear, jealousy, sadness, and frustration. These emotions are not signs of weakness. They are part of being human. What truly defines a person's character is how they respond when these emotions arise. A woman who develops emotional discipline carries a quiet strength that people naturally trust and admire. Many people believe confidence comes from receiving compliments or achieving success. In reality, confidence grows when you discover that your peace does not disappear every time life becomes difficult. Imagine a tree standing firmly during a storm. The wind does not ask for permission before it blows. The rain does not choose convenient moments to fall. Yet the tree remains rooted because its strength comes from beneath the surface. Emotional discipline works the same way. Your circumstances may change, people may disappoint you, criticism may arrive unexpectedly, and plans may fail, but your inner foundation remains steady because it is built on self-control rather than emotional impulse. One of the greatest misunderstandings is believing that expressing every emotion immediately is a sign of authenticity. Authenticity does not mean reacting to everything you feel. It means understanding your emotions without becoming controlled by them. There is wisdom in creating space between what happens to you and how you choose to respond. In that small space lives maturity, intelligence, and freedom. When someone insults you, your first emotion may invite you to respond with equal harshness. Emotional discipline allows you to pause, examine the situation, and decide whether the response will improve your life or simply satisfy a temporary feeling. This habit also transforms relationships. Every friendship, family bond, or partnership will eventually face misunderstandings. No relationship survives because two people never disagree. Relationships survive because at least one person chooses understanding before pride. A woman who listens before reacting creates an environment where trust can grow. She does not seek victory in every conversation. She seeks clarity. She understands that raising her voice rarely strengthens her argument. Calm communication often carries greater power than emotional intensity. Emotional discipline is closely connected to self-respect. When your emotions control every decision, other people begin controlling your life without realizing it. A careless comment ruins your entire day. Someone else's success makes you question your own worth. A stranger's opinion changes your confidence. This is emotional dependence. True beauty appears when your sense of value is no longer determined by external circumstances. You appreciate praise without becoming addicted to it, and you accept criticism without allowing it to define your identity. Developing this habit requires daily practice. It begins by observing your thoughts instead of immediately believing them. Not every thought deserves your attention, and not every emotion deserves your reaction. Sometimes your mind exaggerates problems that will disappear within a few days. Sometimes your emotions convince you to make permanent decisions based on temporary feelings. Wisdom reminds you to wait until your mind becomes clear before making important choices. Another important aspect of emotional discipline is accepting discomfort instead of constantly escaping it. Modern life encourages instant relief. If something feels uncomfortable, people search for distractions. They scroll endlessly, complain repeatedly, or blame others. Yet growth often begins where comfort ends. Sitting quietly with difficult emotions teaches resilience. You begin realizing that feelings, no matter how intense, eventually pass. This understanding makes you less fearful of challenges because you know that emotional storms are temporary. A disciplined woman also understands the importance of protecting her energy. She does not involve herself in unnecessary drama or arguments that produce no meaningful outcome. She recognizes that every emotional conflict consumes attention, time, and peace. Instead of proving herself to everyone, she becomes selective about where she invests her energy. This is not indifference, it is wisdom. She knows that preserving inner peace allows her to show up fully for the people and responsibilities that truly matter. Emotional discipline also inspires those around you. Children learn calmness by watching calm adults. Friends feel safe around someone who remains balanced during stressful moments. Colleagues respect the person who solves problems without spreading panic. Leadership is not always about giving instructions. Often, leadership is demonstrated through emotional stability when everyone else loses control. Over time, this habit changes not only your behavior, but your entire presence. Your words become more thoughtful because they are no longer driven by impulse. Your decisions become wiser because they are guided by reason instead of temporary emotion. Your confidence becomes quieter because it no longer depends on constant reassurance. People begin noticing something different about you. They may not immediately identify what it is, but they feel it. They sense calmness instead of chaos, confidence instead of insecurity, and strength instead of reaction. This is the elegance that never grows old. Physical appearance naturally changes with time, but emotional discipline becomes more beautiful with every passing year. It gives your face serenity, your voice gentleness, your decisions wisdom, and your relationship stability. It allows you to face success without arrogance and hardship without despair. When a woman learns to govern her emotions instead of being governed by them, she develops a beauty that no trend can replace and no circumstance can take away. Kindness is often misunderstood as softness, but in reality, it is one of the greatest expressions of inner strength. Anyone can be pleasant when life is comfortable, when people agree with them, or when everything unfolds according to their expectations. The true measure of character appears when life becomes difficult. It is easy to respond with anger when insulted, to become cold after being disappointed, or to withdraw compassion after experiencing betrayal. Yet a woman who chooses kindness without surrendering her dignity, possesses a beauty that no mirror can capture. Many people believe beauty is something they wear. They invest countless hours trying to perfect their appearance, hoping admiration will bring them confidence. But admiration fades quickly because it is often based on what is temporary. Kindness, however, leaves a memory that remains long after physical appearance has changed. People may forget the color of your dress or the style of your hair, but they rarely forget how you made them feel. A single act of genuine compassion can remain in someone's heart for years, sometimes becoming the reason they found hope during a difficult season. Kindness does not mean saying yes to everything. It does not mean allowing yourself to be manipulated or accepting disrespect. Compassion without wisdom becomes self-neglect. True kindness begins with respecting yourself enough to know your own worth, while still treating others with humanity. A woman who understands this balance does not become bitter because of the mistakes of others. She protects her peace without poisoning her heart. Notice how people react around someone who carries genuine compassion. Conversations become calmer. Tension slowly disappears. Others feel safe enough to express themselves honestly because they sense they will not be judged immediately. This is a quiet form of leadership. It does not rely on authority or status. It is created through presence. People naturally trust those who consistently show understanding instead of rushing to criticize. Compassion also requires the ability to see beyond appearances. Every person you meet is carrying battles that are invisible. Some are fighting loneliness behind confident smiles. Others carry anxiety beneath successful careers. Some speak harshly because they were never taught another way. Understanding this does not excuse harmful behavior, but it helps you respond with wisdom instead of immediate hatred. The strongest people are not those who react to every wound. They are those who understand that another person's pain does not have to become their own. One of the greatest habits a woman can develop is listening with full attention. Most people listen only long enough to prepare their next response. Very few truly seek to understand. When you listen deeply, you communicate respect. You allow another human being to feel seen. In a world where everyone wants to be heard, the ability to genuinely listen becomes an extraordinary gift. Kindness is also reflected in the words you choose. Words can encourage a discouraged soul or deepen someone's pain. Before speaking, ask yourself whether your words are necessary, truthful, and helpful. Speaking honestly does not require cruelty. Firmness does not require humiliation. Wisdom knows how to deliver truth without destroying another person's dignity. A beautiful woman understands that every sentence she speaks either builds trust or weakens it. Compassion extends beyond people you know well. It appears in the way you treat strangers, service workers, children, and the elderly. Character is revealed most clearly in moments where there is nothing to gain. If kindness exists only when it is rewarded, then it is not kindness, it is a transaction. Genuine compassion expects nothing in return because it is an expression of who you are, not a strategy to receive approval. There will be moments when kindness feels difficult. You may help someone who never appreciates your efforts. You may forgive someone who never apologizes. You may offer respect to people who misunderstand you. These experiences should not convince you to abandon compassion. Instead, they teach you an important lesson. Your values should not depend on another person's behavior. If your kindness disappears whenever others disappoint you, then they control your character. A disciplined woman refuses to surrender her principles simply because the world becomes unkind. This does not mean carrying everyone else's burdens. Compassion also includes knowing when to step away. Sometimes the kindest decision is refusing to participate in unhealthy patterns. Sometimes love means allowing people to face the consequences of their own choices instead of rescuing them repeatedly. Protecting your peace is not selfish when it allows you to continue living with clarity and generosity. Over time, kindness changes the one who practices it. The heart becomes lighter because it is no longer consumed by resentment. The mind becomes calmer because it is no longer searching for revenge. The spirit becomes stronger because it learns that true power comes from self-control, not emotional reactions. This transformation is visible. It appears in peaceful eyes, patient words, steady confidence, and a quiet presence that comforts others without demanding attention. That is why kindness and compassion create a beauty far greater than physical appearance. They shape the atmosphere around you. They influence every relationship you build. They strengthen your character while inspiring those who cross your path. Long after youth has faded and trends have changed, this beauty continues to grow, proving that the most attractive woman is not the one who captures every eye, but the one who leaves every heart better than she found it. One of the most beautiful qualities a woman can possess is the willingness to remain a lifelong student. Beauty that depends only on youth gradually fades, but beauty strengthened by wisdom grows more valuable with every passing year. Every lesson learned, every challenge overcome, every book read, every meaningful conversation, and every moment of honest self-reflection adds depth to a person's character. This is the kind of beauty that cannot be purchased, copied, or imitated, because it is earned through consistent growth. Many people stop learning the moment they leave school, believing that education ends with a diploma. In reality, education only begins there. Life itself becomes the greatest teacher. Every success teaches gratitude. Every failure teaches humility. Every disappointment teaches resilience. Every relationship teaches understanding. A woman who embraces these lessons becomes wiser instead of bitter, stronger instead of harder, and calmer instead of more reactive. Growth begins with curiosity. Curiosity keeps the mind alive. It allows a woman to ask questions instead of pretending to know everything. It gives her the confidence to admit mistakes without feeling ashamed. There is tremendous strength in saying, "I still have something to learn." Pride closes the door to knowledge, while humility opens it wider every single day. A growing woman does not compare her journey with someone else's. She understands that comparison distracts from progress. When attention is constantly directed toward what others have achieved, there is little energy left to improve oneself. Instead, she compares today's version of herself with yesterday's. She celebrates small improvements because she knows lasting transformation is built through consistent, almost invisible progress. Personal growth is not limited to academic knowledge. It includes emotional maturity, communication, patience, discipline, and self-awareness. It means understanding how emotions influence decisions. It means recognizing unhealthy habits before they become permanent. It means learning to listen before speaking and understanding before judging. These qualities create a quiet confidence that naturally attracts respect. Reading is one of the simplest ways to nurture inner beauty. Books introduce perspectives that may never have been considered before. They allow the mind to travel across cultures, generations, and experiences. They teach history, psychology, philosophy, science, and human nature. More importantly, they remind us that every person carries struggles that cannot always be seen. This understanding develops compassion instead of criticism. Learning also comes through listening. A woman who listens carefully gains knowledge that someone who constantly speaks may never discover. Listening communicates respect. It builds trust. It creates stronger relationships because people feel understood rather than interrupted. Wisdom often arrives quietly, and only those who slow down enough to hear it are able to receive it. Growth requires the courage to leave comfort behind. Comfort feels safe, but it rarely produces transformation. Whether learning a new skill, beginning a healthier lifestyle, facing a fear, or accepting constructive criticism, every step outside the comfort zone expands personal strength. Confidence is not born from avoiding difficulty. It is built by repeatedly facing challenges and realizing that they can be overcome. Failure becomes a valuable teacher when viewed correctly. Many people see failure as proof that they are not capable. A growing woman sees failure as information. She asks, "What can this experience teach me?" Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" This small shift in perspective changes disappointment into development. Every setback becomes another opportunity to become wiser. Another essential part of growth is self-reflection. Without reflection, experiences pass by without creating wisdom. Taking time to evaluate actions, thoughts, and choices allows a woman to recognize patterns that either strengthen or weaken her character. She becomes aware of habits that no longer serve her and intentionally replaces them with healthier ones. Reflection transforms ordinary experiences into extraordinary lessons. Growth also means protecting the mind from influences that encourage negativity. The information consumed each day shapes beliefs, emotions, and behaviors. A woman who fills her mind with meaningful knowledge, uplifting ideas, and thoughtful conversations gradually reflects those qualities in her character. Her words become wiser, her decisions become clearer, her presence becomes more peaceful. Perhaps the greatest sign of personal growth is emotional stability. Instead of reacting impulsively to every situation, she responds with awareness. Instead of allowing criticism to define her, she evaluates it objectively. Instead of seeking constant approval, she develops confidence from living according to her values. This emotional balance creates a sense of security that people naturally admire. As wisdom increases, compassion grows alongside it. A mature woman understands that everyone is fighting battles that remain invisible. Rather than responding with harsh judgment, she offers patience. Rather than competing unnecessarily, she encourages others. She understands that lifting another person does not diminish her own value. True growth removes the fear of comparison because it replaces insecurity with purpose. The most inspiring women are rarely those who believe they have reached perfection. They are the ones who continue learning with humility, adapting with courage, and improving with consistency. They understand that becoming better is not a destination, but a lifelong journey. Every sunrise offers another opportunity to grow a little more, understand a little deeper, forgive a little faster, and live a little wiser. When a woman commits herself to continuous learning and personal growth, her beauty becomes timeless. It is reflected not only in how she looks, but in how she thinks, how she treats others, how she handles adversity, and how she carries herself through every season of life. That kind of beauty does not fade with age because it is rooted in wisdom, strengthened by discipline, and illuminated by a heart that never stops growing. Before we speak about beauty, we must first understand the value of boundaries. Many people misunderstand boundaries as walls that keep others away. In reality, healthy boundaries are not built out of fear. They are built out of wisdom. They do not isolate a person from love. They protect love from becoming unhealthy. A woman who understands this develops a quiet strength that cannot be easily shaken. She does not need to raise her voice to prove her worth, because her actions already communicate what she will accept and what she will not. One of the greatest mistakes people make is believing that being kind means saying yes to everything. They sacrifice their peace to avoid disappointing others. They stay in conversations that drain them, relationships that disrespect them, and environments that constantly diminish their confidence. Over time, this habit weakens the spirit. Every unnecessary compromise slowly teaches the mind that its own needs are less important than everyone else's expectations. True kindness is never the absence of boundaries. In fact, genuine kindness requires them. When you respect yourself, you also teach others how to respect you. If you continually allow people to cross your limits without consequence, you silently communicate that your time, emotions, and energy have little value. Eventually, people begin treating you exactly as you have allowed yourself to be treated. A truly beautiful woman understands that peace is precious. She does not protect it selfishly, but responsibly. She knows that her emotional energy is limited. Every argument, every unnecessary drama, every unhealthy relationship consumes a part of that energy. If she spends all of it trying to fix people who refuse to change, she will have nothing left for the people and purposes that truly deserve her attention. This does not mean becoming cold or distant. It means becoming intentional. There is a profound difference between loving people and carrying their burdens as if they were your own responsibility. Compassion should never require abandoning yourself. You can support someone without allowing them to control your emotions. You can forgive someone without giving them unlimited access to hurt you again. Boundaries also require the courage to accept discomfort. Saying no is not always easy. There will always be people who misunderstand your decisions. Some may call you selfish simply because they benefited from your lack of boundaries. Others may become upset because they are no longer able to manipulate your kindness. Their reaction is not proof that your boundary is wrong. Often, it is proof that your boundary was necessary. A peaceful mind is built one decision at a time. Every time you choose honesty over people-pleasing, you strengthen your character. Every time you protect your values instead of seeking approval, you become more emotionally stable. Confidence grows not from hearing compliments, but from knowing that your actions are aligned with your principles. Another important boundary exists within the mind itself. Not every opinion deserves your attention. Not every criticism deserves your emotional investment. Many people spend years trying to convince strangers of their worth. This is an exhausting battle because approval has no finish line. If your confidence depends on other people's opinions, your emotions will constantly rise and fall with every compliment and every criticism. Instead, learn to ask a different question. Rather than wondering whether everyone accepts you, ask whether your actions reflect your values. If the answer is yes, then continue walking your path with humility. A person who knows who they are does not become distracted by every passing judgment. Healthy boundaries also protect your future. Every decision you make today shapes the direction of your life tomorrow. The people you allow into your inner circle influence your habits, your mindset, and your emotional health. Choose relationships where respect flows in both directions. Surround yourself with people who encourage growth instead of feeding insecurity. Distance yourself from constant negativity, because attitudes are contagious. Even the strongest person is affected by the environment they remain in long enough. There is remarkable beauty in emotional maturity. It is shown when a woman refuses to engage in gossip because she values integrity. It is shown when she walks away from unnecessary conflict because peace is more valuable than being right. It is shown when she remains calm while others react emotionally because she understands that self-control is a greater form of strength than emotional impulsiveness. The strongest people are not those who control everyone around them. They are those who have learned to govern themselves. They know when to speak and when silence carries greater wisdom. They know when to help and when stepping back allows others to grow. They know when to hold on and when letting go protects both dignity and peace. Ultimately, authentic beauty is reflected in the quality of your life, and the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your choices. Every healthy boundary is a quiet declaration of self-respect. Every peaceful decision is an investment in your future. Every act of courage strengthens your character a little more. Over time, these daily habits create something that no mirror can measure. They create a woman whose presence brings calm instead of chaos, confidence instead of insecurity, wisdom instead of confusion, and dignity instead of desperation. That kind of beauty does not fade with age, because it was never dependent on appearance in the first place. It was built from the inside, protected by discipline, and sustained by a life lived with integrity. Beauty that lasts is never an accident. It is the natural result of living with purpose, practicing gratitude, and protecting integrity every single day. These three qualities work together like roots beneath a tree. They may not always be visible, but they determine how strong, stable, and beautiful the tree becomes over time. In the same way, a woman's greatest beauty is not built by what she owns or how many people admire her. It is built by the values she refuses to abandon, even when no one is watching. Purpose gives direction to life. Without purpose, people become easily distracted by comparison, approval, and temporary pleasures. They wake up reacting to circumstances instead of creating meaningful progress. A woman who understands her purpose carries herself differently. She does not feel the need to compete with every person she meets, because she knows that everyone walks a different path. She measures her life by growth, rather than by popularity. She spends her energy building herself, instead of proving herself. Purpose does not have to be something extraordinary. It does not require fame or recognition. Sometimes purpose is found in becoming a loving mother, an honest professional, a dedicated student, a faithful friend, or a person who leaves every place better than she found it. Great purpose begins with small responsibilities, carried out with excellence. Every meaningful life is built one disciplined day at a time. When purpose becomes clear, decisions become easier. The question is no longer, will people like me? The question becomes, does this choice bring me closer to the person I want to become? That single change transforms the way a woman spends her time, chooses her relationships, and responds to life's challenges. She no longer follows every trend, because she understands that not everything popular is valuable. Alongside purpose comes gratitude. Gratitude is often misunderstood as simply saying thank you, but true gratitude is much deeper. It is the ability to recognize abundance, even while pursuing improvement. A grateful woman appreciates where she is, without giving up on where she is going. She understands that contentment and ambition can exist together. Gratitude changes the way the mind works. Instead of constantly searching for what is missing, it begins noticing what is already present. Instead of focusing on imperfections, it recognizes opportunities. Instead of living in constant dissatisfaction, it develops peace. This peace becomes visible in her expressions, her words, and her relationships. People are naturally drawn toward those who appreciate life instead of constantly complaining about it. Gratitude softens the heart without making it weak. It creates optimism without ignoring reality. Even during difficult seasons, gratitude reminds a person that challenges are temporary, lessons are valuable, and every experience contributes to growth. A grateful woman also values the people around her. She does not take kindness for granted. She acknowledges the efforts of family members, friends, colleagues, and even strangers who brighten her day. These simple expressions of appreciation strengthen relationships far more than expensive gifts ever could. Respect grows where gratitude is practiced consistently. Yet purpose and gratitude cannot sustain true beauty without integrity. Integrity is the quiet decision to remain honest, trustworthy, and faithful to one's values regardless of the circumstances. It is choosing what is right, even when it is difficult. It is maintaining the same character in private that you display in public. Integrity builds something that cannot be purchased: trust. Once people recognize that your words match your actions, they begin to respect you deeply. Physical beauty may attract attention, but integrity earns lasting admiration. It creates confidence because there is no need to hide behind deception or pretend to be someone else. There will always be opportunities to compromise values for temporary comfort or quick success. There will be moments when dishonesty seems easier, when gossip feels entertaining, when shortcuts appear rewarding, or when pretending to be someone else promises acceptance. But every compromise weakens character little by little. True beauty grows stronger every time integrity is protected. A woman with integrity does not allow circumstances to define her principles. She speaks with honesty but also with kindness. She keeps her promises whenever possible. She accepts responsibility for her mistakes instead of blaming others. She apologizes sincerely when she is wrong and forgives without allowing bitterness to control her heart. These actions require courage, and courage always becomes visible through character. Living with purpose, gratitude, and integrity does not eliminate difficulties. Life will still present disappointment, criticism, failure, and uncertainty. However, these qualities provide stability during every storm. They become an inner compass that prevents fear, pride, or comparison from taking control. As the years pass, appearance naturally changes. Fashion evolves, trends disappear, and youth gradually fades. But purpose becomes clearer. Gratitude becomes deeper. Integrity becomes stronger. These qualities mature with time, making a woman increasingly beautiful because her presence begins to radiate wisdom, peace, confidence, and compassion. That is the beauty that cannot be replaced. It cannot be copied, purchased, or filtered. It is earned through countless daily choices that honor truth, embrace thankfulness, and pursue a meaningful life. When a woman lives this way, she becomes more than someone who is admired for how she looks. She becomes someone who is remembered for how she made others feel, how faithfully she lived her values, and how consistently she brought light into the lives of those around her. That kind of beauty never fades because it is not carried by the face alone. It is carried by the soul.